Welcome to a nice, long, detailed, in-depth overview of public address, all of the elements and components and areas in Q-SYS Designer software that you will need to touch in order to integrate our robust public address paging system into whatever design you may be integrating. Public address is used in a wide variety of different types of installations, largely in entertainment and hospitality worlds. We're talking things like hotels, theme parks, transportation, announcements when you're at the airport, things like that. But it could be in a smaller area too. Anytime that you need to send an announcement to a specific area, you might be using the public address tools that are here in the software. Now, everything that we're going to touch, generally speaking, isn't that complicated. This is not an advanced class or tutorial. This is nothing that you're going to need any scripting knowledge or coding for. Everything's pretty straightforward, but it is a really wide subject. It does touch your design in a really sort of spider-veiny manner in which it reaches out and touches everything and everywhere. And we're going to be doing a lot of bouncing and forth between the design schematics into administrator, into the control panels, onto the hardware devices, onto the touch panels, things like that. So it does take some time to go into it, really into the detail that we want you to have. So that's why this is going to be done in this nice long format of training videos. Hopefully it's still going to be worth your time. If you're learning about public address, this is the place to be. Public address, I know, is one of the biggest fears that everyone has in the world. Like, it's right up there with moving and death. Right? Those are the top three fears, talking in front of people. Well, fortunately, I'm the only one who has to talk here. You just have to learn. And in order to learn, we got to make sure you have the right vocabulary. So behind me are some vocabulary words. There will not be a test on this, don't worry. Actually, I think there might be a test. There may be a test on this, definitely worry. We want to make sure that you all have the same nomenclature when we're talking about these elements. So what are the things that make up a public address system? First of all, page stations. A page station is going to be the source of anything that we send to our paging world. Now, this could manifest in one of two different ways. It could be a physical page station. We have physical page stations that we sell. Here's a PS1600 model. This has a handheld microphone on it. You can grab, you can talk into it. It's got various buttons on it for you to trigger preset commands, things like that. This might be the way that you integrate with your paging system, but we've noticed that most people don't tend to go with this route. Most people prefer to go with what we're going to call a virtual page station. And a virtual page station is really any combination of your ability to speak into the system and interact with it. That physical page station had keys and a microphone. A virtual page station will show itself by having another microphone that you can talk into and a touch panel. So if you've already got a UCI in your design that does all kinds of things, gives your user access to all of the things in the room that they need to control, you might just be adding a page to that touchscreen that allows them to interact with the paging system, and any microphone in the world will be fine for them to talk into. And it can be a Dante microphone, it could be a direct analog microphone, it could be a USB microphone that you plug into a USB-A port on a device and bring it in that way. You could do a page from a headset. It doesn't matter how the audio gets in. That's a page station, and I'll show you how to set all those up. That's the source. It's where we're sending things from. The places that we're sending them to are called zones. And a zone could be a single loudspeaker. Maybe you've got one room with one loudspeaker up in the ceiling, and that is the zone. A zone could be, honestly, 1,000 loudspeakers. If you have a big area and you never need to divide that area into a smaller geographical chunk to get a dedicated page there, then that is a zone. I mean, think about something like all the main causeways in a shopping mall. You're probably not paging just the east wing versus the west wing. You're probably sending pages to the entire shopping mall so that when little Billy is lost, you can find his parents, right? So if that's the case, maybe all of those loudspeakers that are in that area might be a single zone. The point is that a zone, just don't think of it as a room, don't think of it as a channel, think of it as a geographical area, again, that you would have no cause to ever split up into a smaller geographical area. Okay, so what are we sending to these zones? We're sending either pages or messages. A page is anytime a human voice is involved in that announcement. So if I'm talking into a microphone live, then that microphone is open, it's going out into the system, and I am coming out of the loudspeakers, right? That's a page. Pages could be handled in different ways. You might be talking into a hot mic. You might be talking into a mic that then records your voice and sends it a little bit later. But those are all pages because a microphone is involved. Whereas a message is an audio file. It is any kind of audio file. It could be a pre-recorded message. I mean, it's still a human voice that's going out. So I guess, when I said it's a human voice, that's a page. Not quite accurate. You could record your voice ahead of time, and then that's an audio file, an MP3 or a WAV file, whatever that you're sending out. It could be music on there. It could be all kinds of different things. But a finished file before you launch the system, that is a message. Whereas when you're talking into a microphone, that's a page. They're handled in very, very similar ways, but there's a little bit of nuance in the ways that they might be handled. So when you hear page and message, just know that those are different types of announcements. Okay, now, so far, none of this is a paging system. So far, this is just sending audio. Hopefully you already know how to do that. If you're watching this class, these videos, you should be able to figure out for yourself how to get a microphone channel into Q-SYS and send it to an output. You should know how to play an audio file from an audio player and send it to an output. That's easy. That's not what a paging system is. What a paging system is the ability to take all of that and synthesize it for when there's a lot of traffic. What happens when you have two different page stations that are sending different pages or messages to a zone at the same time? You don't want them to just show up at the same time and be mixed together. That sounds terrible. I can't hear anything that they're saying because you're playing them at the same time. You need a system that manages it. So when we come to management, there's a couple of different things to keep in mind. The first one is the concept of priority. We need to be able to make sure that different types of announcements have a higher or lower priority compared to other announcements, so we know when one should be more important than the other. If you've got an emergency announcement, that's got to be the highest priority, and we want to be able to cancel anything else that's playing, duck it down, replace it. Maybe the thing that gets removed has to go and wait its turn and come back again. We have all kinds of different things that we can do to determine priority. A page station itself could have its own priority. A page could have its priority. You can override that priority system in either direction based on your preferences. There's a lot of ways you can specify that priority, but understanding it is going to be important. And then queuing is the other half of it. I mentioned that if a page gets interrupted by a higher priority page, it might have to go and wait its turn again. That's part of a management system. We need to make sure that if multiple announcements are going to a zone at the same time, that they know that they have to wait their turn in order of their priority. You have to determine what happens if it sits in that queue for a really long time. Is it still relevant? Do you want to throw it out because it's been sitting in the queue for an hour? What do you want to do if it gets booted multiple times from being played and then goes back into the queue? These are all like really minute details, but you have the ability to customize all of them in your paging system, which again is why this takes a good long time to really look at all of the details and what we can touch. The last piece that makes it a real paging system is ducking. I kind of mentioned this earlier too. When an announcement is played in a room, you don't want the music that's already playing in that room to keep playing because now you can't hear anything, right? If the music is playing, and especially if there's vocals in that music, and you're playing an announcement that's just mixed in with that, no one's going to be able to understand it. So we want some method that will duck down the existing program material in a room when a page is present, and then return it back to its regular volume when the page is complete. That is a ducking system. So page stations, zones, pages, messages, priority, queuing, and ducking. That's the vocab test. You'll hear all those words a lot over the next several videos on this. So hopefully you've got that. Take a quick break. We are then going to dive into the software.